Imagine a night so violent, so reality-altering, that the most famous martial artist in history made every witness swear a blood oath of silence. It wasn't on a movie set. There were no cameras, no bright lights, and no choreographed stunts. It was December 9, 1967, in a cold, abandoned warehouse in West Oakland, a place where the only sound was the whistling wind through shattered windows until the bones started breaking. Most people think they know Bruce Lee. They've seen the yellow jumpsuit, they've seen the movies. But only 7 people saw the version of Bruce Lee that existed for 6 terrifying minutes that night. A version of the dragon that was so deadly, even Bruce himself became afraid of what lived inside him. Tonight, we go inside the Vault of Warriors to uncover the numbers game of a fight that shouldn't have happened. A fight against a man known in the underground as the Rusiana 220-pound veteran of the Soviet Union's most brutal military programs. This is the story of the deadliest encounter in martial arts history, the one they told us to never tell. To understand the danger, you have to understand the man across from Bruce. The Russian was a 62, 220-pound wall of functional muscle. He didn't practice styles, he practiced survival. Trained in Systema and Sambo, he had spent 15 years in underground fighting rings across 3 continents. His record? 47 wins, 0 losses. He had heard the whispers about a small Asian man in Oakland who claimed to have revolutionized combat. To the Russian, Bruce Lee was a paper Dragana performer who looked good in demonstrations but would fold under the pressure of a real, high-mass physical assault. He didn't want a trophy, he wanted to expose the truth. He sent a message to Bruce's school, a private match, no rules, no referee. Until one of us cannot stand. Bruce Lee didn't answer for 2 weeks. The Russian sent more messages, each one more insulting than the last. But Bruce wasn't afraid, he was calculating. He was analyzing the kinetic chain of a 220-pound grappler. He knew that in a traditional fight, the Russians' weight advantage was a 60% probability of victory. Bruce had to change the math. When he finally responded, he said the darkest conditions ever recorded. If either fighter is killed, it is a training accident. No police, no investigation. 7 people were chosen to witness the event. 3 for Bruce, 3 for the Russian, and 1 neutral observer. As they gathered in that West Oakland warehouse at 11 p.m., the air was heavy with the feeling that someone might not walk out alive. Before we get into the first strike, I have to ask you, and I want you to be honest in the comments. If you were standing in that dark warehouse watching a 140-pound Bruce Lee stand across from a 220-pound Soviet killer, would you have truly believed Bruce could win? Or would you have thought the dragon was about to be crushed? Type skill or size in the comments right now. And if you're a true fan of martial arts history, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We are digging up files the world was never supposed to see, and you don't want to be left behind when the next secret drops. The fight began with a silence so thick you could hear the blood pumping in your ears. For 30 seconds, neither man moved. Then the Russian lunged. It was a methodical, professional attack, a straight punch backed by 220 pounds of forward momentum. Bruce Lee didn't block it. In a move that witnesses called the ghost step, Bruce slipped the punch by less than an inch. His head moved just enough for the fist to graze his hair. This was the numbers game in action. Minimal movement, maximum efficiency. The Russian followed up with a body hook and a low kick, but Bruce was like water. Every strike hit empty air. The Russian's frustration grew. In his 47 previous fights, he had always landed a blow within the first 10 seconds. Now he was fighting a shadow. Realizing he couldn't hit Bruce, the Russian switched to his specialty, grappling. He lunged and caught Bruce's wrist. A 220-pound grip is like an iron vise. The witnesses gasped, thinking the fight was over. Sambo fighters are trained to snap a wrist or elbow in seconds once they have a grip. But Bruce didn't pull away. He moved into the Russian's chest. Using his free hand, he delivered a short force palm strike to the Russian's elbow joint. Crack. The sound echoed through the warehouse like a gunshot. The Russian's arm was hyperextended. His grip shattered. He backed away, his face pale, his arm hanging at an unnatural angle. This was the moment Bruce Lee's interference theory became a brutal reality. But the Russian was a veteran of the Soviet front. He didn't quit. With one arm dangling, he attacked again, fueled by pure adrenaline and desperation. This is where the witnesses say things got dark. Bruce Lee stopped being a teacher and became a force of pure destruction. He intercepted every desperate lunge. A strike to the ribs, witnesses say they heard the ribs splinter, a palm to the jaw, a sweep that sent the giant crashing onto the concrete floor. Bruce stood over him, his eyes completely black with focus. He wasn't stopping, he was going for the kill. The neutral referee stepped forward, but Bruce's aura was so terrifying, the man hesitated. Only when the Russian finally nodded in submission did Bruce stop. The fight ended at 11:06 p.m. It had lasted only 6 minutes, but it had aged everyone in that room by 10 years. Bruce Lee walked to the corner of the warehouse and put his head against the wall. His hands were shaking. He told his students, "I felt it. The part of me that wanted to keep going until he was dead. I never want to feel that again." The Russian, bloodied and broken, stood up and did the unthinkable. He bowed. He realized that Bruce Lee hadn't just beaten him, I had spared him. Bruce made every person in that room swear that they would never talk about this. He didn't want the world to know he could be a monster. He wanted the world to see him as a philosopher. The building was demolished a year later. The witnesses took the secret to their graves or only whispered it to their closest kin decades later. But why does this story matter? Because it proves that Bruce Lee's greatest victory wasn't over a 220-pound Russian. It was over himself. He proved that true mastery isn't about the ability to destroy, it's about the discipline to hold back when you have every reason to strike. This is the hidden legacy of the 9th of December, a night of blood, oak, and shadow. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Vault of Warriors, check out our other video on the Bruce Lee Soundstage 12 incident. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay sharp, stay efficient, and stay humble.